Every memorable video game hero needs an equally memorable villain to oppose them. For a character with a 90s attitude like Sonic, a perfect foil is a character so uptight yet so childishly petty that they too have their share of fans. Dr. Robotnik, a.k.a. Dr. Eggman from Sonic Adventure Onward, is that perfect villain. His constant schemes of world conquest mirror Bowser's from Nintendo's Mario series, but Eggman sets himself apart by relying on his intellect instead of brute force. The early Sonic games on the Genesis, and a few modern throwbacks like Sonic Mania, reflect a time when a mad scientist turned innocent animals into loyal robots for his growing empire. That element is the basis of the Eggman Empire custom archetype, a deck that turns opposing monsters into machines so that they become Badniks, which Eggman uses to build up his empire one boss monster at a time. The deck's playstyle revolves around Pendulum and Link summoning many machine monsters while utilizing Rebirth Judgment and both DNA continuous traps, thus leaving no room to play other continuous spells and traps. The maniacal Doctor himself is the key card in the whole deck. Dr. Ivo Robotnik can set one of three traps if he hits the board: DNA Surgery, DNA Transplant, and Rebirth Judgment. All three traps have an effect that modifies types or attributes, and Robotnik himself is unaffected by them while he's on the board. You can also take an opponent's machine and turn it into a Badnik permanently at the cost of a discard. Since a DNA Surgery set by Robotnik's effect can be activated right away, you can basically take any targetable monster with him. Just don't forget the non-machine extra deck Klaus that comes from this effect. His Pendulum effect also lets you search out one of his lackeys if you need to set up your scales, so there's no reason for him to be a dead draw. Speaking of lackeys, Robotnik wouldn't be Eggman, or vice versa, without them. Both Cubot and Orbot enforce the no non-machines except Robotnik rule as pendulum scales, and allow pendulum summons between levels 1 and 8. Cubot lets you toss an excess trap to the graveyard for a card, while Orbot lets you discard anything to fetch Robotnik. This simple search loop makes it highly likely that you'll have all three Eggman Empire monsters in most turn 1 scenarios. These three are the only main deck monsters in this archetype. There are twice as many Link monsters to go through. The first one is just Eggman and his Eggmobile. You can't Link summon it if you have a Badnik, and it exists to turn an opponent's machine into a Badnik on the opponent's turn. At least it can protect itself when it points to a Badnik. Basically, it's the turn 1 card for an archetype that needs to convert opposing monsters to make its strongest plays. Big Arms is the Eggman Empire deck's first real offensive presence. It can hold an opponent's monster in place so it can't do anything or be used for anything. And if it and Big Arms are still on the board by the end phase, that opposing monster is destroyed. As far as negation effects go, it's more like Fiendish Chain than Infinite Impermanence, so it won't do anything if it's taken off the board. Death Egg's final defense is a little steep for a Link 3 monster, since it requires 3 monsters. One of them has to be Eggman, the other 2 have to be machines. The funny thing about it is that it gains effects for each material whose original type isn't machine. Naturally, you always get the first effect that protects your Eggman Empire cards from being destroyed. But to get the most out of the final defense, you have to use Badniks that didn't start out as machines. One gives the final defense an Imperial Iron Wall-like effect. The second one lets it pop an opponent's card for free, Mirror Jade style. All in all, final defense is a pretty good starting boss monster, but that's just a start. The Egg Emperor is the Link 4 of the archetype and the most offensively inclined. Its summoning condition seems difficult at first, but DNA Transplant makes it easier. It has an immunity to opposing activated spells and traps, and shuts down opposing monster effects if it attacks, so it's hard to stop once it gets going. It also gets to pop a card, Lovely Labyrinth style, if Eggman is summoned where it points. The Egg Dragoon has weaker attacks than the Egg Emperor despite being a Link 5, but it's a little easier to summon and comes with opposing target immunity and a slew of effects based on how many DNA traps you control. Most of the time, you'll have at least one to give it your Pendulum Scales destruction protection. With 2, the Egg Dragoon becomes a one-sided skill drain that also affects the opponent's graveyard. And with all 3, it gets to recycle and pop up to 3 cards as a quick effect, which basically ensures victory at this point. The 6th and final monster is naturally the Death Egg itself. First thing to note is that it specifically needs Death Egg's final defense as a Link material. It's that Link 3 monster from earlier. It also needs exactly 4 monsters, so it takes a lot of resources to get it up and running. In exchange for this, the Death Egg is immune to all card effects and gains the original attack of every machine it points at. The funny thing is, it can't attack on its own. It needs its final defense to do its fighting for it, hence the name. Fortunately, the Death Egg can churn out its final defense quite easily, and it even gets all 3 effects for free. So why does the attack of a monster that can't attack matter, aside from it can be destroyed by battle if it's too low? Well, if the Death Egg's attack is ever...
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?!
I know, wrong franchise. You achieve the Death Egg's instant win condition. Since all 5 spell and trap zones are needed, there is only one other non-monster in this archetype. The field spell, Eggman Land. Yeah. Basically, it doubles the potential Badnik output and lets you summon egg-leg monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects. It's easy to fulfill its no non-machine monster condition with Rebirth Judgment, and any Pendulum monster in the extra deck doesn't count. That's all 10 cards. Now for this video's combo, and it's fairly obvious. All it needs is a copy of Orbot or Summoner's Art, which can search for him. Orbot's Pendulum effect discards a card to search for Eggman, which can be placed in the other Pendulum zone. Eggman's Pendulum effect destroys himself to put Cubot in his place, which can send away an excess DNA trap to draw if needed. Either way, both lackeys can Pendulum summon Eggman back from the extra deck to get that DNA trap search. It's extremely consistent and doesn't use up a normal summon, so it should always be considered in a turn 1 play. Now for the sample deck. Naturally, there are 3 copies of every Eggman Empire Pendulum monster. There are machines from official archetypes, 2 Cyber Dragon Cores, 2 Jizukiri Kaijus, and 2 Therian Kings. There's also a 3-2 righty-lefty driver combo to put 2 machines on the board with 1 normal summon. For the spells and traps, there are 3 Summoner Arts for the combo, and 3 Infinite Impermanences. The 2 ups are DNA Surgery to turn everything into a machine, and Iron Draw is an easy pot of greed with exactly 2 machine effect monsters. Every other card is a 1-up, including the Eggman Land Field spell. There's another one, Therian Disc Coliseum, and a Terraforming to search either of them. Cyber Repair Plant and Rev System are Cyber Dragon Core search targets. Reinforcement of the army seems weird in machine deck, but Dr. Robotnik is considered a level 1 warrior and the only search target. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and Monster Reborn are self-explanatory, as are 1 DNA Transplant and Rebirth Judgment. The extra deck includes 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons, which act as front row wipes with a Cyber Dragon on the board. There's also the Cyber Dragon Nova/Infinity combo, which can be made with 2 Orbots. This justifies the 3 Summoner's Arts. The rest are all Link monsters, and only Clyphor Genius is not among the egg machines. 3 Death Egg's final defenses, since Link summoning 1 is usually an optimal move, 2 Big Arms and Egg Mobile Capsules, and the remaining 3 are at a single copy. The side deck is mostly composed of machine monsters, which can all be searched by Clyphor Genius. Spell Cancelers and Jinzos are counters to Spell and Trap decks respectively, and can be Pendulum summoned without a tribute. Carnot the Eternal Machine is an instant 3k beatstick against hand trap and graveyard heavy decks, while Meteor Rush Monocroid is effective against beatdown decks, including the previously featured Mobius Genesis custom archetype. The other 7 cards are spells. 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust and Forbidden Droplet are self-explanatory, and Triple Tactics Talent is limited to 1. If using Forbidden Droplet, one must remember that Pendulum monsters cannot be sent to their graveyard from the field to fulfill its costs, so it's best to use it with a DNA trap that can be retrieved by Pendulum summoning Dr. Robotnik. And that's everything. Hope you enjoy playing with them in customs. As always, feel free to let me know of your thoughts or feedback in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're interested in more gaming custom cards.